Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sound of Hardwood podcast. In today's episode, we'll be previewing the NBA Finals, the matchup against the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. We'll be going over what we think are the keys to success for both respective teams, who will win the series and how many games, who the Finals MVP will be, and if the performance of each respective team up to this point will be something that they can continue or they need to make adjustments in order to win this series. So, how your guys' weekend been going? How's your holiday been going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Enjoying the sun, some barbecue, some grilled food. Can't complain.
I think it's a little better than pretty good after what happened last night.
Could be.
This man trying to act like he not excited. He trying to act like, yo,
Yeah.
we just was in the finals last year. Like, I mean, it's been a drought for the Celtics. It's been since 2010. So you can show some excitement about your team being back in the finals. Don't even
I'm
seem like it's an
definitely hyped.
everyday occurrence.
I'm definitely hyped. Oh, it's not. It's not. Hopefully, first of many to come. But yeah,
And
try
it's been a
try to
revenge
keep it
tour for
humble.
y'all. You should be more excited. This was a revenge tour. Y'all beat all your teams that y'all couldn't beat before. You beat the Heat, you beat the Bucks, and you beat the Nets. So you should
Yeah,
be really happy.
you're
See, I
right.
need
You're
Soto.
right
I
about
wish
that.
this was like the Knicks or somebody. I know Soto would be going crazy right now if the Knicks was in the finals. You act like
I
Their
mean,
drought, their drought, 10 times worse than the
but I
Celtics
know his
drought.
energy
So
oh
would be
yeah.
better. He'd be more excited. I need like when I talk my shit when the
Or
Lakers
if
be
it
in the
was the
finals.
Spurs, I'll be like, what? Any of those two teams.
Now, since how'd y'all think about the game? What did y'all think about the game last night? How do y'all think about the game? Like, what y'all think about the game last night?
Go ahead, so you can go first.
No. That's all you. I was gonna say, that's all you. I'm
Uh,
the Boston fan here.
I told Soto, I think earlier in the day on FaceTime, I was like, bro, I just gotta watch the first quarter, first 5 minutes of the first quarter, because that's just been a trend for this series, not necessarily their prior series before that, whatever the
Mm,
previous series with Milwaukee, whatever, or even the one with Brooklyn. It's just been for some reason with Miami, the way this series been so flip floppy. It's like that first 5 minutes of that first quarter matters.
mm-hmm.
So it's like the way they came out, Miami came out game six. I knew Boston was gonna have a tough time because they came out, they set the tone. It seemed like the road team was always more hungry this series. So I just was like, all right, as long as Boston comes out the way they've been coming out on the road, they should be fine. And they went up by I think like close to 20 by one point in that first half. Which if you think get going up by a quick 15, 16 that first quarter, that's what helped them maintain the lead
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole second half when Miami kept making a run here, a run there, and all that. So I think the game was that's the those last two games, game 6 and 7, were more of the games we expected the whole series to be like, but unfortunately it wasn't like that. A lot of people would say as basketball fans it was a boring series because one game it was an ass up in one way and then reversed the other way.
Yeah.
But what I will take from this series for my Celtics is that they can't play with their house money, they can't play with their food with the Warriors because they've been here, done that. So you can't just
Mm-hmm.
start getting lackadaisical, chill mode because cruise control when there's 7 minutes left. You almost didn't get by Miami. We could debate if Jimmy Butler should have took that three or if we should have went to the hoop charge out of foul, whatever. But
Yeah.
either way, we could be having a whole different discussion right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because they wanted to play with their food. I mean, some of it's coaching, some of it's them. So it's just like they can't let their foot off the gas when they play the Warriors in these finals because the Warriors they live and die by the three. So if you give up layups, okay, cool. But once one sees one going, all of a sudden Poole sees it going, all of a sudden Steph sees it going, then Clay. So it's like next thing you know, you're trying to shoot threes on the other end to catch up to their threes they're hitting. So I just hope that they know that that's not gonna fly. Like if they try that, it's gonna be a quick series for them in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I take from that game, especially the
Yeah.
second half. If they play how they play the first half, it would be a fun finals. If they play the way they play the second half, it's gonna be hard to be a Boston fan.
So, I got time to. I got time to prepare. What you thought about it, Soto?
Um, I just thought, well, one to confirm that Boston's defense is legit. Much similar to the Warriors, the Heat also live and die by the three, which is
Mm-hmm.
why they only made 6 threes while attempting 30. So and then plus with the Heat, it's like the Heat could have easily won that game. It's just that they had no help. They had no help from their supporting cast at all. It's either Jimmy Butler and Bam, and I don't know, like nobody else decided to step up.
Basically, Hero in the
Hero with his
plays.
injury, Lowry, throwing his body at every single possession, flopping. Strauss, Strauss, he would hit a big shot here and there, but it wasn't consistent enough.
Mhm.
But it just shows that Boston supporting cast, they all in their own way stepped up. Like Horford had 14 rebounds. All three Smart, Tatum, and Jalen Brown scored over 20 points. So it's like everybody knew what their role was, and they just executed perfectly. Which is why they had that nice lead in the first in the first half, and then it would just kind of like go up and down, but they still maintained that lead. They never gave up. um and it's kind of like with Boston, they love playing on the road. They're a better team on the road than they are at home. Like the other day, I was talking to Ant, and then Ant's worry was defending home court, which they didn't do. They can definitely play on the road, and they're a completely different team on the road. But that's not gonna be enough going against Golden State. They're gonna have to defend home court, especially when they have 3 games in a row at home. Um, and then I'm actually happy because it's like with this finals matchup, two of Pop's proteges going at it. So
Udoka and
there's a Spurs flavor going in there.
Kerr.
But yeah, no, like the Celtics did their things, and I feel like they love playing with a chip on their shoulder. And I think in every series they've been an underdog and they've beaten the the superior team. Like with the Nets, they thought the Nets were gonna clap them. That didn't happen. With the Bucks, same thing. Oh, Giannis is gonna destroy them. They have nobody to guard Giannis. That didn't happen. And now with the Miami Heat, so it's like Boston Celtics. I'm not counting them out because the Warriors are a completely different team, but yeah, the Celtics did an incredible job, and no, I think nobody expected them to go on this run. So much kudos to them.
Gotcha. I feel like but I'm gonna save like some of my points for when we deep dive into the Celtics versus the Warriors. So I'm not gonna like say everything that I saw in last night's game.
Right.
But uh, last night they took advantage of the fact that Bam was nowhere to be found in that whole series. He played well one game. He had 31, and then he disappeared every other game in that series. Jimmy Butler, as much as he played well 6 and 7, he only really played well 3 games the whole series. Like where you said he had a big impact on the Miami Heat winning the game, which was game 1, and then obviously game 6, and the other game that they won. I forgot which game they won. The 3 wins they had are Jimmy Butler's best 3 games in that series, other than the Bam game, which you could say he also played well too that day. But well, I take that back. The 3 games was a loss, so I take that back. One was a loss for Jimmy, his game 7 performance, his game 6, and then game 1. I think those are his best 3 performances in the series. The problem is you can't have your best 2 players show up for a total of 4 games out of a 7 game series and you only didn't win. You only won 3 games, one of which came in the game 7 where Jimmy had no help from nobody else. I mean, it's weird to me trying to figure out why that team struggles to score when they play defense so much. So that's the only reason why I looked at that Celtics series and versus last night's game and said, okay, Jimmy Butler had a good game. Nobody else played well, and they lost the game. I think at some point Miami needs to make some roster changes. Like they have a lot of duplicate players. Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo, Duncan Robinson, and Strauss are pretty much the same player, except Dick Oladipo and Tyler Hero, I think, are the better out of the two you might have currently have. So yeah, that's pretty much what I thought about that game last night.
Yeah,
I I agree with that. Go ahead,
yeah,
Soto.
no, they just need more. Like you said, they have a lot of duplicate players. They need more from their supporting cast because, like, and this is just an example. I know you're coming back from injury, but you know, with Kyle Lowry, you're the third guy in that team.
Mhm.
That's your little. I'm not gonna say a big, but that's their big three. Because Tyler Hero is injured, so you can't be having donut games because in games, what was it, 4 and 5, I'm sorry, game 5, I think he had what, 3 points. Game 6, he had, like there was 2 games where he was barely a factor.
Mhm.
And you can't have that, especially in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then, um, you know, the supporting cast just didn't do their job. I mean, they tried, but they didn't execute properly. So um, that's Boston's forte, and that's why they took advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
All the focus is on Jimmy Butler, but like you just said, Bam was somebody where he had one good game, two a decent game, and then he was nowhere to be found the rest of the series.
His
So stuff like that can't happen, and that's what cost Miami the series.
his one good game was the game where Rob didn't play. But
Mm,
that's also the game where they blew out Boston first quarter basically, and then the whole team had a good game. That's when Oladipo got going. Everybody got going because it was like the Rob scratch was such a late scratch. You can't really game plan for that. It's too late. So
Mhm.
on the Boston end, and then for the Miami end, it was like, all right, hey, you hear who's not playing, right? They don't got no rim protection. So
yeah,
when you get in layups, everybody came, when you get in
Yeah,
layups, mid
it's
range
easier.
shots easy, a 3-point shot's easy. You see the ball go in, now you want to play defense, now you're engaged. That's the same game where Oladipo wanted to make a little highlight, a minute and a half highlight tape about locking up every Celtic and put the lock key. And then after that, maybe couldn't hear from him no more, right? I just I just think that's what it is with Bam. It's just when he actually goes against people who can actually bang with him and he's like, oh damn, because he is kind of undersized for his position. It's just that I also feel like Miami doesn't run the offense through him. That game, they made sure they ran the offense through him. So it's a little bit of both. He could also be more aggressive, but when you have the big man, then you have Bam, then you have Butler, who kind of doesn't really need players run for him. He's not really a 3-point shooter. He's still old school mid range. You go to the hoop attack, right? 3-and-D kind of guy.
Mhm.
And then the rest of your guys are straight, pure like shooters. Besides Hero, they can't really create. They got some, like you said, they got some decisions to make. You can't really let Oladipo go after what he's shown you. He's
yeah,
proven he could be a good piece. Do you let your 3-point sniper Jimmy Neutron go, aka Duncan Robinson? Do you let him go because now you feel like we're not gonna have no playing time for you? Game 7, he didn't even play, or he
yeah.
played a few minutes. You can't. You have all
Mhm.
these players they have are great players and they all fit the Miami system, right? It's just now you got to
It's
find
just
playing time for them. And in the playoffs, that rotation gets tight, right? As it should be. But with them, I feel like it didn't have to be tight because when you have so many good players, that might you should use that to your advantage. But Spoelstra's going to be Spoelstra. He wants to keep those certain 7 and 8 in rotation, whatever. They also have a Morris twin on the bench who I feel like could have helped them, but when they went small, they didn't want to play him.
Mhm.
They're literally running PJ Tucker into a wall. He's so beat up, and then Spoelstra goes on a 10-minute rant after they lose the conference finals about it. But you're the one running him through that damn wall. Like you have other people you could play for a few minutes, but Boston was doing the same thing. They weren't playing Tice at all, which I feel like you could have squeezed them in there here and there. Even when Rob didn't play that game, they barely went to Tice. It was mostly Grant. And I'm just like, so both teams did that same thing, but I think we'll probably see some off-season changes from Miami. But if not, and they run it back, we could debate that they'll be right back in the same spot, fighting for
Yeah.
that, fighting to get out the East because they have that team chemistry and all that. They're a good team top to bottom. It was just, I guess you could say, the injury bug came at the wrong time, or however you want to put it. And with Jimmy, I feel like the Miami's offense is if he gets to the free throw line early, then their offense goes through him. The games he got to the free throw line early, third quarter of that first game. What was that?
Yeah.
The third game. Game 4 before he went out in the second half because his knee got inflamed. He was getting to the free throw line early. So when somebody who's a streaky shooter gets to the free throw line first, it's just like getting a layup, right? And you see the ball go in, you're basically doing form shooting, having 20 plus free throws like those games. Then all of a sudden you get the Jimmy Butler from game 6 where the boy can't miss. Why couldn't he miss second half? Because first half again, 20 points in the first quarter, hella free throws. So it's just like if he's on attack mode, he gets to the line, then I feel like that's when Miami gets moving because that's what clicks the defense. Okay, we're getting layups, boom, 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 everybody's engaged. Once one's struggling and the offense is out of sync, they look like a whole completely different Miami Heat team. They can't go to that zone they like to hide their weak defenders. You know what I mean? The heroes he's not really a weak defender, but he's not great either. So you can hide Hero in that zone. You can hide, Duncan Robinson in that zone, and whoever else is in the great defender in that zone. When you're up, when you're down, you can't afford to go zone. You got to go man, especially in the playoffs. I feel like that's also part of the reason why we didn't see that much zone from them. The most you've seen it was game 3 when they beat the brakes off Boston in Boston. So I just think a few of their strategies just weren't the right ones to defeat the Boston team. But either way, it turned out to be, 7-game series like people thought. So
whatever the case may be, I think, the Heat are just like
something away.
One big player. I don't know what exactly, but one big player to like, all right, making that full push because I mean, I know you mentioned the injury bug, but the Celtics were going through their own injury bug as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just
what
that
team isn't at this point, right?
Yeah,
Even
it's
Golden
just
State.
that when it came to like knocking down the threes, Miami just struggled with that. And they couldn't find a rhythm. I mean, they had opportunities, to win in this last game. I don't necessarily agree with that Jimmy Butler's pull-up 3. I personally felt like he should have attacked Horford, and he probably would have gotten that call. But
talk about it because that boy get every call he wants.
Yeah, and I personally believe if that would have happened and they would have went overtime, that I would have had the Heat winning because then the pressure would have been too much on Boston. But we didn't see that, so congratulations to Boston.
Yeah. Now, I know it's been a longer break between the Dallas series, but because we did examine the final game of the Celtics, because that was last night, but as it pertains to what they did well and setting up what they could potentially do in the finals. Now, if you look at the Warriors versus Dallas and that dismantle of Dallas, and Luka really struggled in that last game. And I feel like Luka at this stage in his career offensively does more than what Tatum and Brown do. I'm not saying necessarily he's better than Tatum and Brown. I'm not going to sort of Celtic fan in here. But I'm saying
I know exactly where you're going. That's why I'm not taking offense. I know what you mean, just like by playmaking wise and IQ and
what he does for Dallas than what they do currently right now for Boston.
No debate with that.
Do you think that series with a guy like Luka is a good measuring stick for an approach that they could take with Tatum or Brown?
I don't know.
No, Soto was speaking. That's why I stopped. I heard the sigh. I was just let him get his thoughts together.
No. I don't know because I guess they did a good job on Luka, right? Mm-hmm. But it all depends on, again, with the Warriors also going through their own injury bug, right? They're going to get some key defenders possibly back that you can throw at Jaylen Brown, that you can throw at Tatum. That would be Iggy, Otto Porter, and Gary Payton. Yeah. So if they're able to get those 3 back, that's key to that series. I mean, regardless, I still have the Warriors winning, but I think both teams are very strong defensively, but that in this case, that's where I would go with with the Warriors.
Mhm.
They'll find a way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Soto has a good point. I just feel like they can try because of what they were probably doing since Thursday when they wrapped up their series. You're low key just watching live film, right? They're just watching it live like everybody else, whatever, whatever. I high key know that Draymond wanted Miami, right? That's why he
Yeah.
said what he said. But a few weeks ago he just had Tatum on the podcast, so I know maybe off air, whatever. He's probably like, "Hey, you guys got a good chance this year.
Yeah.
Keep it pushing, whatever, whatever." But on paper, believe it or not, they would rather have Miami because of things they can do. With Boston basically being like a Memphis team, just a little bit more experienced. You go, damn, well, we struggled with Memphis. It took Ja getting legit hurt and being out the series, and then on top of that, after he got hurt, they still took a 50-point ass whooping without Ja on Memphis's home court, right? We can't let that go. That wasn't too long ago. So it's like the Warriors still have their empty spaces too, right? Their holes where they can get beat. So I feel like that's why they probably didn't really want to see Boston. But at the end of the day, there's gonna be games where experience comes in because it's the finals. Like there's gonna be nerves and all that for them, not for the Warriors, but it's for Boston and stuff. So I feel like there might be games where that stuff comes in. That's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. But they've been doing good with that when their backs are against the wall. But with how they handled Luka, it's easy to tune in on one player, do a box of one, double team one player when you're
Knowing
really
that there's
not
not
worried
a
about
supporting.
anybody. There's no supporting cast.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. would have probably had their respect, but he was hurt, right? He is hurt still. And then Willie was actually getting to the rim, getting his buckets because he's a bigger guard than people think.
And Brunson too.
And Brunson too. But still, you kind of like, we live with that as long as Luka don't get going, right? So it's harder to do that with a Boston team where it's two of them. You can't send two people at two players. It's like you got to pick one. So I guess you got to see whose night it is that night. But if they're both going, then you got to pick your poison. And then you got to just say, hey, hopefully the others can beat us. But the others been playing really good for Boston. Derek White is coming. He's going to be going into this final series, coming off his best series yet. His best, 3 games as a Celtic. I don't know if it's the new fatherhood, the new baby he just had, whatever. But it's just like he's balling. And this is the White, this is what they traded for. We knew it was going to take some time because anybody you get in the middle of the season, it doesn't gel right away. But the way he's killing it off the bench, you're like, okay, cool. Smart, still smart. I know he took those, out of context threes yesterday, but if you really deep dive into the game, that was Miami's strategy. They were doubling Brown and Tatum, which I'm pretty sure the Warriors are going to take that strategy because you don't want them to close out the game for them. Have the other 3 guys beat us, right? And the person who would end up taking that shot with 2-3 seconds left, a wide open shot would be Smart. So if he's hitting that, you can't double team. If he's not hitting that, which he wasn't doing yesterday, that is causes some trouble. So they're probably going to use that same strategy. They're just going to see maybe till halftime, okay, which one got it going? Is it Tatum? Is it Brown? And then they'll send the double team off that. But the biggest thing, like Soto said, is who's coming back and when they're coming back. They're supposed to all be back, right?
Yeah.
Iguodala is still really a question mark, but I already seen the reports about Gary Payton this second being back, right? But when we don't know when, but he's gonna be back. And then Otto Porter had, I want to say, similar to Marcus Smart foot sprain, so he'll probably be there, right? So those 2 players are key. And then Iggy, you just kind of need to be that veteran role, play veteran minutes, get some key stops. Maybe if they go small, play that. So all those players are key, and I just think it's when they get them back.
I just think that rest is really an X factor for both teams, but especially for Boston because they need Rob Williams in order to defeat the Warriors. Which I mean, like I told you guys, I still have the Warriors winning, but if they're gonna beat the Warriors, they need Rob Williams, and that injury is not looking good. So he needs as much rest as he can, but I just think when it comes to this matchup, it's like the Golden State Warriors have a lot of firepower, and in regards to the Celtics, it's like, all right, it's Jaylen Brown and Tatum, and then
Who's that third scorer?
who's that? Who's going to be that third scorer? Because Smart is inconsistent. You know, Horford is not the same Horford that we used to see. And then the bench, the only person that can probably show up is Derek White, and then after that, it's like who you're going to throw, because it started off being Pritchard in that Heat series, but then he was
because he was undersized.
Yeah.
Butler was sealing him out, and it's like,
and that's going to be a big
will the
factor in
Warriors
this
do that?
matchup too.
That's
That
what I'm
both teams
saying.
could
Well, with
play.
Wiggins, they could do it. That's about it.
Right.
I'm gonna get to him in a second. I wasn't sure if I was waiting for the transition
Yeah,
to talk about the
I
finals.
wasn't.
That's why I didn't want to talk about Rob yet, or
I wasn't.
who's gonna be the X
I
factor.
wasn't
I'm gonna
going
hold
into that. I just said it because you said it.
Yeah. No, I know, and I definitely right behind you with that one. Right on track with you with that Soto too. I'll get more into my point in a little while, but that Rob situation is big, especially if people notice what I noticed. What we noticed yesterday, Soto, with him limping and stuff. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Yeah.
So, as we were starting to move towards talking about the finals matchup, because y'all are both starting to touch on different areas of what would be strength and weaknesses for each respective team, and those matchup based upon who they played. But I raised the Luka because of what he does and how much he means offensively. We all know in order for the Celtics to win, that lies heavily on Tatum and Brown, both. So that's why I raised it as a question. I do think that Luka, staying with that same Dallas series, I think Luka has them prepared for anything that they're going to see with the Celtics because of he dominates the ball more than Tatum and Brown does, and he means that much to what they do offensively. And then Brunson and Dinwiddie, when they were playing well in those games, the Dallas Mavericks were able to build double-digit leads. Like when first half of games, when the two of them came in and was going, they got double-digit leads against the Warriors. They just happened to disappear in the second half of those games, but they played well in the first half to give them enough. And then Luka just had a bad game finally in the playoffs this year, and that made it easier for them to close out that series.
It's easy to make shots as a role player when you're already up by 10, 12 points. But everybody know the Warriors been a third quarter team their whole damn dynasty, right?
Yeah.
So since they've been put together, so it's like when you feel that run coming and you're in Golden State, and the pressure switches to you now, as in the Mavericks, and you're like, damn, I gotta hit this shot. Now the pressure, you know what I mean? You're not following through. Yeah, you might not even take that shot. You might up fake and swing it one more, or step out of bounds, travel something, because you know what I mean. You feel that pressure coming, you feel the momentum shifting, and you're like, damn. But that's why those guys probably would fade away second half, because that's what the Warriors would do. They would just play around, toy with them first half, and then Steve Kerr light a fire under them halftime, boom, to come on third quarter.
Yeah, they figure it out from there.
Yeah.
So now I would say we start to transition into the finals talks, and I'll probably start off with the don'ts of each team, because it's easy to talk about what a team does, and especially in today's game, that's a lot of focus you hear most of the time. Everybody talks about series is what this team is gonna do. So I'm gonna go to reverse approach and say, what can't these teams do? So what can't the Warriors do if they want to win this series, and what can't the Celtics do in order to win this series? Right,
funny thing to me is the answer is the same for both teams. Get loosey-goosey with the ball. You can't turn the ball over. I know it probably sounds like a cliched, whatever, typical coach basketball answer, right? But the Warriors, since the beginning, always had trouble turning the ball over. Curry, we get called out. Draymond, Clay, whoever was with the team, whenever, we were always, even when KD was there, they were still loosey-goosey with the ball sometimes. I don't know if it's because they have that, been here, done that field before, right? And it would come back and bite them. And now Boston, really bad in the playoffs, been starting to get that same kind of thing too. As you've seen it, 3 games this past series with Miami, the 3 games where they had high turnovers, they lost. 2 of them were ass whoopings, and then 1 was just whatever. They started off bad, tried to close it out second half, but didn't, right? So I think turnovers is key for both teams, and I guess you could say who could be the healthiest throughout this damn series. I mean, the extra days is key. I think it's 3 days in between from Thursday to Sunday, and then I think I don't know what it is when they go back to Boston, but I'm assuming probably 3 again because of that travel day they usually call it, right?
Mhm.
So that alone's helping both teams out, which is good. But I think the main key is just whatever team you when you look at, win and losses, and then you look at all the, team categories, whatever team has the lesser turnovers, that's going to be the winner. And sometimes they don't always go that way in the NBA, but with these two teams, that's what it's going to be because they love to run. So if you're turning the ball over, bye bye. It's either dunks and layups for Boston, which gets them going, or it's threes for the Warriors because they don't take layups. And then you're just down by 6, 9, 12, 15. And so, you're like,
It's
shit,
over.
what do we do? Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is turnovers. That's what I think. What do you think, Soto?
So with the Warriors, I think with the Warriors, similar to what you said, is definitely turnovers. Because the Celtics are that good of a defensive team. Now, I don't know if with the turnovers, the Celtics are gonna make them pay, because that goes into my next argument with the Celtics is their shot selection. Like we saw last game 7, freaking Smart wanting to shoot 5 straight shots or 5 straight, and they kind of look lost on the offensive end, and it like that's the biggest difference, with with Golden State. They're gonna make you pay. I'm
Mhm.
100% guaranteed that they'll make you pay. With the Celtics, it's like sometimes they look lost on offense, and throughout the Heat series, there's been stretches where the Heat kept them in the game, but the Celtics shot themselves in the foot because they couldn't score the ball. And I guarantee you that's not going to happen that's not what the Warriors are going to allow. The Warriors are going to make you pay every single time.
Yeah.
So, with the Warriors, it's the turnovers, which, throughout that Mavs series and throughout the playoffs, they've been averaging like 14, 15 turnovers a game, which is pretty high. And then
Mhm.
with the Celtics, it's just, on their offensive end, their shot selections.
Got you. So we got turnovers for both so far. They both mentioned turnovers for each respective team to turn the ball over. And so that you touched on the struggle offensively that the Celtics have at times.
Yeah.
Got you. So for me, if I said a thing that the Celtics can't do, they can't rely too much on Tatum and Brown, because there are going to be games where the Warriors are good enough defensively, they're going to take one of them out the game because they have multiple people that they can throw at them. They have Draymond Green, they have Klay Thompson, they have Andrew Wiggins, they have Otto Jr., all those defenders that we just named that have, especially Draymond, Klay, and even Iguodala, who have been on this stage and have performed and won on this stage, that they could put on Tatum or Brown for stretches to make them work harder than normal. I think this, other than Miami Heat at full strength, and when the Bucks are at full strength, this has been the best team defense that they have going to played against other than Miami, because Milwaukee wasn't at that full strength, not having Middleton, so we didn't see their defense how it normally is. And then we saw Miami, but Miami is undersized and they're not switchable like the Warriors are. The Warriors can switch 1 through 5 even though they're small, because they have a way of rotating and scheming where you don't notice Curry out there as much. So it's not like you could say, oh, they're going to just put Curry in pick and roll like how the Cavs used to do with LeBron James and try to attack Curry, because it's not the same. Tatum and Brown are not LeBron. So it's not like, oh, yeah, that's a guaranteed basket if he gets switched on to one of them. He can hold his own to some degree. And both Tatum and Brown have a habit, as they did in Game 7. And Coach Ime Udoka talked about it at halftime. He told them to stop doing it. They will settle for those jump shots. So if it's a game where they like, all right, I'm determined, I'm just going to take this 3, I'm going to take that many, and Ant knows that signature side step for Tatum, that signature contested fade pull up for Brown. If they do that against the Warriors, then that's that transition, rebounded, outlet. Now they're shooting all these threes. They're getting crazy. They're getting hyper. The key, and then the can't for the Warriors is don't settle for threes. Sometimes they can fall in love with that 3 so much that they miss mismatches. The Celtics love to switch. They switch a lot. So if you get a switch where it's like, okay, they're going to hedge out hard and they're going to let Horford or Robin Williams guard Curry on an island, there's no reason why Curry need to just rely on a 3-point shot. Put your head down, try to get to the basket, force help, dump it off to Looney or Draymond, and try to get some fouls on, Brown or Smart down there with a bigger defender, because at that point they have no choice but to reach or foul because they don't want to keep giving up layups. And then even Draymond sometimes likes to settle on the perimeter. If you get a switch when you got Marcus Smart or Peyton Pritchard or somebody like that, you don't take them down to the lower post and just turn and shoot over the top. You don't got to be the same thing with Looney. You don't got to be a great post player, but can you just turn and shoot over the top of a small defender if they do that switch? So that's what I feel it can't. For the Warriors can't settle for threes because the Celtics love to switch, and the Celtics can't just rely on two guys to try to beat this team.
Yeah, and that's you guys brought up two good points. Soto, you're right. I think it was 2 games where Boston did that. Second half, after they got smoked first half of game 3, they literally started making Miami turn the ball over. But that's the thing. Just because you get a turnover don't mean it's a guaranteed bucket. There's another step to that. You gotta get your transition points off of that, and they weren't.
Right.
Some of it was bad shot selection. Some of it was just Miami was just good at getting back. They weren't pouting off a turnover. They were sprinting back. And then it was like, all right, that first option ain't there, second option ain't there. And after that second option, the third option is usually just going to be a reset. Now you're back in half court. So you don't get to get that bucket. So it's like the decision is being made off that turnover. Are you immediately pushing it? Are you just going to hold it because you don't want to throw a turnover right back and then, try to score on half court and stuff? But I think for this finals matchup, they split the season series. They came to Boston first early when Boston was struggling now those first 2 months. So take that with how you can, but a win's still a win, right? And Wiggins balled out that game. Kyrie was okay. They didn't have Clay back yet, but Wiggins balled out that game. But this is the Wiggins that was able to get selected to the All-Star team because
pre-All-Star.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Number 2 option because Clay's not back yet.
Yeah.
Right? Then after All-Star break, March matchup, when Boston's clicking and they finally get the defensive schemes of what Ime's doing and they actually understand what he means by trust and make that extra pass. Don't take the good shot, rotate that ball one more, get the great shot. The basketball guards will reward you at some point. You know what I mean? So that offense, it was okay. They blew them out the park, but at the same time, it was like, damn, the whole diving for the loose ball on Smart hitting Curry's ankle, dirty play, not dirty play. Yeah. He goes out, but they were already getting cracked before that. But that kind of ran away with it, right? Those 2 games are 2 different games. And I think one of the keys to that game is, number 1, Boston had some new additions. Number 2, Wiggins played like crap. Thompson played good. Poole played good. Wiggins played like crap. So where I'm going with this is I think a key for them, we know what Poole, Curry, and Clay is going to give you, right? As a Warriors, right? Is Wiggins going to be able to give you, he don't got to give you 20, 15 consistently with some great defense. If he's just out there, what it looked like he did that second match, running up and down the court, even though it was a blowout, it's like, damn. And they also got rebounded by, I think, like 18, 19 that second game, too. But Draymond didn't play that much. I think he only played like 8 minutes because I think by that point, Kerr was just like, it is what it is. Because it was literally a blowout at halftime. So you got to take each game. We're like, Boston wasn't Boston yet. And then the Warriors were kind of so. The season matchup was interesting. That's the first thing I looked at was, damn, all right, if we go with this big lineup that we love, that's like 86% win percentage, how are we going to do? Then I'm like, damn, we kind of matched up evenly when it came to total boards as them and us. It was only by a couple of double digits. We just happened to whoop them that game. And the second game, what the difference was, we moved the ball as a team. Like you said, if they're going to be, if Brown and Tatum are going to ball dominate, dribble, go to the not going to the hoop as they should, because Looney is in a rim protector. Just go. Draymond's in a rim protector. Go to the hoop. Looney's going to be a step too slow, and then if anything, rotate. Throw the ball under or throw it over, depending on if Rob's there or if it's out, right? But if you're not trusting your teammates and making the extra pass and rotating the ball, similar to what they were doing first half yesterday to put Miami in the hole they put Miami in, then you're going to see second half Boston, not even second half, just that last 5-minute fourth quarter Boston. But at the same time, I think people aren't realizing that was Miami's strategy, which could also end up being the Warriors' strategy if it comes down to it. Make these guys beat us. Smart had 20-something points that game, so it's not like he's taking bad shots. It was shots with like 5 seconds left on the shot clock. he was wide open. The rotation wasn't there because they didn't care about rotating to him. I think he was just rushing it.
Mhm.
More like, oh my God, like I gotta hit one to put the dagger, not really just taking that deep breath, just follow through and shoot. Like it's more like get it up there, get it up there. Like, you know what I mean? Like take that extra or even go to the corner. Cause I think Grant was in there. He's good for hitting at least one of those. If Smart takes two and Grant takes three,
Mhm.
they'll probably both go one out of each of their shots, hit one of those shots, and we're having a whole different discussion. It's not no that Jimmy Butler take the bad shot or whatever. But back to this Warriors matchup, I think for them is Wiggins. We know, unfortunately for Boston, Clay got going versus the Mavericks. So I think he just sees sky's the limit. Yeah, it's just he's back to Clay, right? Steph Curry shot selection because he falls in love with that Hail Mary three. It's always been his game. But at the same time, when he's doing that, if you watch the body language of a Thompson sometimes, of a Draymond Draymond will get in his face like, bro, what was that? Don't do that. Like you said, if you get Rob out there, don't try to shoot over Rob. Number one, he's a freak. He might tip that ball. He might legit block all of it, and then that's a turnover or something, right? Go to the hoop. Try to get that mismatch. Try to see if the help's going to be there, which it might not be, because if you have other shooters out, Boston can't rotate the way they want to. And then for Boston, it's what are the others going to do? If Derek White can continue being Derek White he's been, okay, cool. He might end up having to be a starter. What lineup is Boston going to go? I think the Warriors will probably keep their lineup the whole series. They're not going to probably switch it. But I think Boston might mess with a few different lineups just because of how the Warriors play, right? It's like game one, they might try to go with Rob and Al, but no, I don't think these 4 days off is good enough for Al. Like he's the older head on the team, right? He needed that week. That's why them closing out Friday was big and they didn't. Shot yourself in the foot. So he'll give you one good game. He's been doing that the past two series. He'll give you one breakout. Oh, damn, Al balled out that game. And the rest, he's just trying to maintain, do his job, get that rebound, get that block. That block first half on Strus was big. You know, the rim protection block. Do that here and there. Maybe hit one key three in like the third quarter to cut off the Miami run, stuff like that. If you get that, then they'll be fine. But I think for the Warriors is Wiggins. He has to not become a Harrison Barnes, right? And then for Boston, it's trust, something that your coach been preaching since he got hired in the summer. Don't fall in love because you made one ooh-ah play. Don't come down and keep doing, let me make another. This isn't summertime rec, right? Don't play for the fans. You playing for the championship. So that it's all about discipline for both sides. But I think my eyes gonna be on Wiggins. Even with all their guys coming back at some point, it's still gonna be Wiggins. Like, okay, you got going versus who didn't get going versus Dallas, but Clay got going versus Dallas, right? Wiggins got going again versus Dallas because he was looking kind of mediocre versus Memphis. And that's why I'm saying the Celtics mirror a Memphis team, just a little bit more experienced, and none of their key guys are out, right? And hopefully they don't end up out this series. Everybody stays healthy, right? So that's why it's like you can't forget how Grizzlies gave them early struggles with their youth and being physical on the switch in and a good defensive team, just like Boston is. I think the Warriors are all right defensive team. I don't think they're that great, but again, everybody wants to play defense when they see the ball going. So it's like, because you want to get another shot down the end. So it's like, we'll see. But I think to me, it's Wiggins and the others for Boston. Smart, White.
So that's your X factor.
Yeah, that's the X factor. Hopefully they play it. I don't see why you don't play Tice this series. I'm not trying to watch my guy Rob up there hobbling up and down the court. Like I'm not. And that's the main thing for Boston is Rob. Because I feel like if you want to go small ball, you still keep Rob out there for the fact that when 70%, he still can keep up with a guard out there. Like, yeah, the guard might get that 2 steps ahead of him, but Rob's so damn long. When you're going for that layup, he's going to glass that shit. You're like, damn, where the hell you coming from? I swear I left you behind. I left you in the dust, and he still recovered. Like, but if he's hobbling on one leg, bro, you got to play Tice a little bit just to, this is a series where Tice could thrive because Tice stretches the floor. He can hit the 3. He can give you a good hard foul here and there. He can not really jump as high as Rob, but you can catch it over the top lob and roll it, kind of like what a Looney does. Like he's not a wow factor, but he's I get the job done factor. So you might have to use him. More bigs is better than 1 or 2 bigs. Grant got to not play like an idiot at all because he's the last 2 games of the Miami series, 5 fouls just over the backs for what stupid things, and then Game 7, he didn't play bad, but it was just like he was just out there. I don't know if it's the moment for him. Might be jitters, but that's when your vets are supposed to, do what they do. But we shall see. It's gonna be a fun series. If Boston's gonna win, it's gonna have to be in 6. You can't try to win a game 7 in Oakland. I'll tell you that now. You can't, bro. This whole we're gonna try to win because we're better on the road. And 7 crap, it got you here barely. But don't try. They're too experienced, bro. They're too experienced. If Boston's gonna win, it has to be in 6. That's all I gotta say. It has to
So,
be in 6.
and fairness, so though you can have your X factors as well, because we just
Oh
got
yeah, for sure.
we just got a Boston barroom conversation from Aaron.
Yeah, we did for sure.
He out the pub
all right.
with
So,
with the
all
beer.
right, I'll get to that. I was just gonna like touch up on what Keem said a little bit earlier. One of like Boston's forte is that they switch on everything, and that's what they have going for them. And that's what sometimes is going to present a little trouble for the Warriors because they love coming off screens and going misdirections, and then boom, pop the open threes right there. But the Celtics switch on everything, which could end up being a problem for them. But in terms of X factor, I'm going with Jordan Poole for the Warriors. We saw the emergence of Jordan Poole this season, and a lot of people started already comparing him as to like a poor man's Curry. I feel like with Poole anchoring that second unit, I feel like that Boston's second unit isn't as great. So I feel like that's where Poole can take advantage and provide that scoring punch that he's been doing this whole season. In terms of the Celtics, I really I don't have a player, to be honest with you, for the Celtics. I think it's just health.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned before,
I respect that.
If Smart can get to somewhat close to 100%, if Rob can somehow get healthy, before Thursday, then I guess it gives them a winning shot. But I don't have a true player that can be an X factor. And then I just want to see if the Celtics can hold the Warriors' death lineup. When
Iggy
you
out
have
there?
Steph, no, it's not Iggy. When you have
Draymond,
Curry,
Wiggins,
Thompson,
Poole,
Wiggins,
Thompson, and
Poole, and Draymond, it's like I want to see what answer do you have to that, because when those 5 are in
Which they'll probably
on
use
the floor on the same time, that's where the game slips and it goes in to the Warriors favor. So I want to see if Boston could come up with an answer to that.
Their calendar would have to be you have to play Grant, as long as he's not in foul trouble. And it's the good Grant who's been playing throughout the whole season that's been shocking everybody, right? And played good versus Brooklyn and played great game 7 versus Milwaukee and actually great that whole series. And halfway through the Miami series played great. I think it would have to be Brown, Smart, Tatum, Grant, and Rob if healthy, just because Rob's so mobile. If not, then it's Al, and then that's when it gets kind of tricky because Al's on the older end, and it's like can Al keep up with that? Because that's basically all guards you just named.
Yeah.
Besides Wiggins and Draymond's very undersized. So then you could also take out Al and just have Grant at the 5 to bang with Draymond, right? And then go with Derek White, who's gonna probably be matched up with Poole when you think about bench players anyway, right? But who's supposed to be a good defender, so we'll see. But that's a good point. So I think health is definitely key. With Rob, it's just like these 3 days off in between games is gonna be clutch.
Yeah,
it's gonna be clutch. That's like a week for NBA players right now. That's like a week off, bro, because you get treatment back to back, right? Instead of just treatment once and then you're on the flight and then kind of not really still have lingering pains. Treatment back to back and rest is key, but that's also key for them too, for the Warriors. So,
but yeah, and that's the thing you mentioned earlier, trust, right?
Yeah,
there's 100% trust within Golden State. There's not. I don't see a single flaw there.
Yep.
And then throughout the season, there's been conversation. Oh, can Tatum and Brown play together?
Mm-hmm.
And then everything was going well. And then after Game 6, that conversation came up again. And then okay, they were able to coexist and get the job done Game 7. But there's always still that cloud over the Celtics. Oh, can they play? Can they coexist? There isn't that question, in regards to Golden State, because their chemistry
they proved themselves.
Yeah. So,
in other words, if Boston was to finish the job, that kills all that noise, basically.
Right.
And then now it's more like do what you got to do to keep them together, rather than ship one off, right?
Yeah.
And then you said Celtics in 6, right?
It would have to be. Yeah, it would have to be them in 6. I don't trust them Game 7.
So, Keen, would I have to tell my predictions right now, or?
I mean, if you want to, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying that.
He just said it. He already put his out there. So.
Right. So if the Celtics were to win, it would have to be in 7. Will they? I don't know. But if they were to win, it would have to take 7 games. And I told Ant this as soon as the Heat game finished. I said it's the Warriors in 6.
Possibly
and I said
5.
I wouldn't be surprised if it ended in 5.
Okay. Spicy.
That part was disrespectful because they just beat Dallas in 5. That part was disrespectful.
Spicy.
That part kind of made me want to hang up the phone on him, but I was like, whatever.
So y'all made some. You got your predictions, you got your X factors, and I got some catching up to do over here.
Go ahead, Keen. By the way, great hire by your Lakers.
Yeah, but it don't solve the Russell thing, so I ain't gonna touch that. We gonna say that for when the finals is over. They ain't playing right now. We gonna say that for when the playoffs is over. I can talk about that hiring. But congratulations to him. Too young. He got a first head coaching job finally. So congrats to him on that. But in the X factor for the Celtics, because y'all both, I'll say Celtics and the Warriors. I'll say for the Celtics. My X factor for the Celtics, not my Celtics. I'm a Celtic fan. Get out of here. We don't parlay.
So you switching sides?
We don't parlay. It's purple and gold in these streets. We don't parlay with that green. Get up out of here with that. Okay. It's the only green I recognize are Spartans. I don't recognize no Celtics. But if you said the X factor for the Celtics, it's going to be Marcus Smart. It's not going to be Tatum. It's not going to be Brown. It's not even going to be their coaching. It's going to be Marcus Smart. Why I say that? Because he is basically the Draymond Green of the Celtics. If he can't have an impact on this game, in these series rather, meaning that he can't slow down Klay Thompson, he can't slow down Curry, and I mean legally slow him down. I don't mean take him out of the game. No Pat Bev movements over here. I mean, if he can have an impact where he can knock down some open shots, he can play defense at a high level. He pretty much has to be like a Bruce Bowen for Spurs' sake for Soto here. A guy that's gonna play elite level defense and knock down that corner 3. If he can't do that at a high level, then the Boston Celtics are gonna struggle because he's also now their best playmaker. It's funny because y'all went through Kyrie, you went through Kimba, and then your best playmaker now has become Marcus Smart. What a circle that went right there. All that money that Celtics spent on having Kyrie and Kimba just to go with somebody that was already on their roster for the cheap. So they have to figure out how effective he's going to be. Because if he can't have impact like he had in all these series that the Celtics have played, every series that they've played, he's been one of their best players, and that's helped them. It's ironic because Ime Udoka, when he took the job, told Brad Stevens, and this is a rumor, I wasn't in the room there, it's a rumor that he was only going to take that job if he kept Marcus Smart. Because there were a lot of rumors going on this summer that the Celtics were considering trading Marcus Smart, and he wanted Marcus Smart because of the culture identity that he would have brought to the Celtics. And he's been their leader even when times is hard, whether it's calling out himself, calling out his teammates, even calling out Tatum and Brown for their inconsistent plays and poor decisions. That has been the voice of that locker room. If he's not able to have an impact, I'm like Soto, I think they wrap this up in 5 games. Because if he can't impact the game, there's like Tatum and Brown are scorers, but they're not feared defensively. So they're not guys where, Jordan Poole, Wiggins, and Curry and Thompson are going to be looking at them like, yeah, they're going to stop me from scoring. If they look at the rest of those guys and say, I'm just going to put my head down, go get a basket, and Marcus Smart is over here like, okay, y'all going to play some defense? y'all know Ant knows that's when the body language change. Guys start pouting. Guys start getting frustrated. Guys are arguing on the bench. Sometimes even guys start arguing with Ime Udoka in the middle of a game because they're getting frustrated. If that starts happening, the Warriors gonna see that as blood in the water, and they're gonna finish this series pretty quickly. It's like when Luka started getting frustrated. Once they saw his visual frustration, they just went to attack mode and said, "Okay, we're gonna get you up out of here, big fella. You could talk about that in the offseason." The X factor for the Warriors, I think, is going to be the same thing like Soto said. It's going to be Jordan Poole because the Celtics haven't seen a third scoring option that can go get 30. Like they've seen guys who obviously you got KD, Kyrie who are capable of doing it, but who was that third option? You had Giannis who put up Wilt Chamberlain type numbers, but with no Middleton, who's the other option. You had Jimmy Butler, who's not even really a scorer, put together two 40-point type performances in that series, but he just had no help. Like last night, if some other person, like if Bam just scores 15, 20 points, they win that game. But because he had no impact on the game, they lose it, and he goes for basically 40 in a loss. But because of the way the Warriors play, there's going to be a lot of open looks for Jordan Poole, and he's shown that he's going to make them even if you guard him. So if he comes in the game, or like the lineups he said, there are two lineups that I think will probably give the Celtics a lot of trouble. And that's that small ball lineup, which is the Draymond, Wiggins, Poole, Clay, and Steph. Or if they go bigger and go with Looney, Draymond, Wiggins, or Poole, Clay, and Steph. Those are their two best lineups. Now, because the Celtics like one of those double bigs, they probably will see that Looney, Draymond lineup a lot. Which means, okay, who is Al Horford going to guard, realistically? Because he excels when he switches on two guards in that pick and roll. The problem is Draymond doesn't do pick and roll. Draymond has a ball in his hand. So Al Horford's going to do what? He's going to guard Draymond the whole game? I mean, he could try, but at his age, is he realistically doing that now? Probably not. Okay, so then you take out, you said Tice. Oh, okay, the Golden State Warriors would probably smile if they see Tice on Draymond. It's like, okay, I'll just go walk past him and go get a layup. So this becomes a problem of because the Warriors move without the ball. I know Soto said the switching. I think that hurts you against teams that move without the ball because sometimes you're going to have a bad switch. And because the Warriors love doing that little baseline action when Looney sets a screen for Curry or Thompson to go cut to the opposite corner, if you switch that with Marcus Smart, now he's buried under the basket with Looney. The Warriors are making that pass 9 times out of 10. They're not going to sit there and Draymond's going to be up top and I see Looney under the basket with Marcus Smart. He's making that pass. He's not going to stand there and go, oh, now I'm going to wait for Curry. He's going to throw that right inside, turn and shoot top of him. If it's Wiggins or Poole, he's going to turn and shoot over the top of him. So then now what's going to happen? Okay, you got to put Grant in the game. I'm sorry, but Grant is not guarding Poole, Thompson, or Curry, or even Wiggins on an island. He's a great defender, but I'm not trusting him for a series that if he gets a switch on Curry or Jordan Poole, I'm putting my money that Grant Williams is stopping him. So I think the matchup defensively for the Boston Celtics, y'all going to have to treat this like the Brooklyn Nets. When Curry and Thompson come to ball, y'all going to have to send the whole house and hope that these role players miss. Because if you don't double them to get the ball out their hands and hope the role players miss, straight up, I don't think the switching thing is going to be a great idea for the Boston Celtics.
I mean, they've been doing it the whole season, though, so it's kind of hard to just be like, we're not going to do that. Like, they'll still do it to some type of form, but we'll see that there's a lot of ifs on both ends. I don't know, man. I don't think Wiggins as an offensive threat scares me yet. Honestly, still have to be consistent. Poole, yeah, Poole could do what he do, but if Poole's going off, Clay's not going off. Curry might be, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's never all three. If one's really going off, the other two will just gotta give you your 15 and 20, whatever, because they're all trying to feed that one guy, right? So I think Poole goes off, right? Shit. If Clay goes off, as long as it's not Game 6 Clay goes off because Clay's still trying to become his old self, somewhat of a form of his own self. Like, he goes to the hoop sometimes, but the Memphis series showed if you're just right there in his face, he's going to throw the ball right back, try to come back off that right there in his face again. He's not really trying to penetrate yet. I don't think he's fully comfortable with that. Then you got Curry, where Curry, you got to play him legit because he'll do all the above. So I think if Poole's going off, He just gonna get selfish and look for his own thing. There's been times body language. You talk about body language in the Memphis series. I see Clay getting mad because Poole got the ball to him too late because Poole wanted to dance real quick to see if he can get something off because he just hit the last two, or because Curry wanted to shut up the home crowd of Memphis and pull a 40-footer front rim, and Clay's like, and then trotting down court, and then Memphis is gone. So like body language for the Warriors is there too, but it's funny about a body language for Boston because I peeped that. I think I told Soto, I think it might have been game one when that crazy third quarter happened for Miami. We did have Rob out there, whatever, or Smart out there, and you start going back and forth because number one, you're getting your ass beat, and then you feel like coach is just singling you out when you feel like your star players aren't doing that and on defense either, which another, like you said, Smart would call that out ASAP. Speed dial. Nah, they ain't doing that shit either. So don't come over here with that. So you're right about body language, and that goes both ways. If any team senses that for that game, they're gonna try to run off with that. And that's gonna be interesting. But this we could talk about this for hours, man. Like this matchup is gonna be fun to watch. I don't see it ending in 5, honestly. But you guys are perfectly right with with the way you're breaking it down like that. And they could also go that way just because it's Boston's first time actually getting over the hump. We've seen teams who get over the hump and settle. Shit, we got here, and then they forget about everything that they did to get there. You know what I mean? And they get smacked in the face, and they might not ever make it back, right? So hopefully they don't do that. And that's why I feel like Ime, Al, even though he's never been there, but just being in the air, hey. Yeah, we got over that hump, but we still got 4 more games to run. Like, don't forget about that because I'm saying Al because they always, give Al his props. Hey, he's always texting us. He's always in our air. All that being the veteran that Kyrie couldn't, or the veteran that Kyrie said he wasn't when Kyrie was there, right? So it's just like
I know y'all Celtic fans gotta let that Kyrie hurt go, bro. Y'all gotta let it go, man.
Oh no, it's no hate. I just think
I say, hey, I gotta let that hurt go, yo.
I just think it was funny because now he's low key about in the same situation with Brooklyn now with his best friend.
He's about to be a Laker. Don't worry about it.
All right, and then you're gonna have the same situation in LA after a year. Because Braun there, he ain't your savior.
I watch Kyrie gonna get vaccinated because LeBron was like, yo, bro, you gotta hold it down for the
Kyrie ain't gonna get vaccinated.
Nah, I just just to touch up a little bit on what Keem said, like, I think Boston hasn't seen a team like Golden State.
The Warriors. I agree, they haven't.
No, but in terms of firepower, because when they faced Brooklyn, it was all KD and Kyrie and nobody else. When it came against the Bucks, it was Giannis, and I guess you can put
sometimes Holiday.
Holiday,
every other game Holiday. Yeah.
And then in this one, it's like Jimmy Butler and Bam was in and out, So it's like here you have to worry about Curry, Thompson. I guess you could say Wiggins occasionally when he has those rare, 20 plus games, and then Poole. So it's like it's a lot.
It is.
Kyrie broke the Celtics' heart. The fans like.
Kyrie. I mean, I know Celtic. I don't like Kyrie right now. I know he's flipping out a bird and all that other extra shit. Telling kids SMD.
Oh, that's something else. Good point. Celtics can't have those long offensive droughts either.
Yeah.
Unless they're making the Warriors have the same offensive droughts, then whatever, which could happen because we've seen that happen in the Miami series. But
exactly, we saw that a lot.
They can't. Yeah, in the Miami series. Yeah,
because the Celtics did their end on the defensive end, but then again on the offensive side, they went on these droughts where it's like the ball stopped moving. They didn't even know what to do. Tatum was pulling up. Smart was pulling up like he's
Henry.
Yeah, I didn't acknowledge that one.
We're not gonna acknowledge that. I'm just catching up on
Henry. I saw that, and I don't got nothing for that one, bro. He said the next year. I guess they back. They'll be back playing, but I don't think it's nothing in 7. I know that both of y'all. Real quick, before I get to we said I'll get to the part when we each say our MVP because we did say we're gonna win the series. So I'll say we're gonna be the MVP. Yeah, both mentioned the Grizzlies. I know Ant mentioned it, like they're similar, and the Warriors struggle with the Grizzlies. I think the biggest struggle with the Grizzlies for the Warriors was the unknown element. Like when you play against a team that you don't know what a lot of their players are going to do, it's harder to prepare for them. Like when you look at the Grizzlies and you go, okay, Desmond Bain, Dylan Brooks, okay, but you really focusing on
Ja.
John Morant and Jaren Jackson. So those role players had and then Adams, they know what he does, but he was hurt during periods of time and then COVID protocol in periods of time, and so he wasn't there the full series. So you know what those two guys do, and the difference is John Morant had missed quite a bit of games this year, so they had been used to playing without him in a sense. So they were prepared. Okay, he's not here. We're just gonna go do what we've been doing when he was missing games before. The Celtics have never gone long stretches, without Brown or Tatum. So their identity is based upon those guys being there and those guys playing effectively. If one of them has a bad game, the Celtics don't really have that. Okay, other guy. That's their problem. That's the only reason why I said like the Warriors could make this quick work
With
if
their firepower.
Tatum
Yeah.
and Brown don't have like we're here series. Like if this is not a we're here now series for them, then this is going to be like when the Spurs played who the fuck did they beat the shit out of? LeBron for the first time. Light work.
Yeah.
When the Thunder went their first trip to the finals.
And the Heat beat on them. Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those things where if they're not ready just yet, it's just the next step for them. Then the Warriors gonna look at this like, I'm taking my kids to work with me. Like it's gonna be like, okay, come on, guys, bring it in, sit down, story
Gentleman
time,
sweep. Yeah.
and then it's gonna be the end of it. Now, if Ime Udoka says and use that as a motivation, and Marcus Smart use that as motivation, and saying, look, they might sleep on us. Game 1 is key. If the Celtics can get game 1, then it might be an interest series. If y'all can't get if y'all come on game 1, get the shit kicked out of you, I'm like, all right, it's over. Because I don't think mentally they're going to bounce back game 2 and be like, yeah, we got smacked game 1. But we good because the Warriors are the type of team, like, if you lose to them badly, the next game, like we saw with the Grizzlies, when they had games where they came out and beat the hell out of the Grizzlies, that closing game, it was like, yeah, y'all was talking all that shit, whoop that trick. Okay, hustle and flow. I'll get you Terrence Howard. Okay. Story time, bring it in, kids. And we sending you back home now. That's the end of the game now. So same thing they did to Dallas. It's like Luka was like, yeah, we making a little push, and they made Luka out there. He was crying for help. That's the first time I've ever seen Luka get so frustrated. He's punching and kicking shit. Like I ain't never seen him that mad.
Yeah, that wasn't a good look.
So that's where he got them. So I'm saying to myself, okay, if they could do that to Luka, and he's like under 25, he's like the best player. In my opinion, he's the best under 25. Like if you say guys in the league under the age of 25, he's the best. I mean, I know you may have something to say about that with Tatum sitting on that cusp, but
they're 1A, 1B. If it's not him, it's him. If it's not him, you know what I mean? It's vice versa.
Yeah.
If one's not one, then the number 2. It goes either way. It is what it is.
So that's what I feel like. I feel like they're tested because of the Ja Morant and Luka, what they do to their teams. Smart is that guy. Like Smart is the one that's got the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
So I feel like if the Celtics, if the Golden State says to themselves, okay, that's who you're gonna let run the offense, and they pick him up full court, I don't think Marcus Smart is prepared to deal with, Wiggins or somebody, or even Gary Payton when he's in the game, to pick him up 94 feet and make him.
I beg to differ. He had to deal with Holiday up in his grill the whole damn series. Holiday was playing full court, and then they try to go with, all right, Tatum, you bring up the ball, and then guess what? Whoever brought up the ball, Holiday was there. So it could give Boston problems, because that's what gave Boston problems with Milwaukee, because it's taking you 6 seconds to get the ball up the court. Then you're trying to run the offensive play, and then you got to cut the offensive play in short, because if you try to run the whole offensive play, you get a shot clock expiration. So yeah, I definitely see that, man. You're right, but I don't know, man. I think they got to win one of the first 2, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't got to be the first one, right?
I say the first one because it's a young team. That's my mindset. Like usually,
I got you. But I'm going there. Yeah, I'm going there because I'm thinking opposite of what you're thinking. I'm thinking if the Warriors somehow pull away, okay, close first half, whatever, they pull away third quarter, typical Warrior shit, and they win by 20, right? 18-20, cool, right? They might come out game 2, not the way you're thinking, the way I think they're gonna be. All right, yep. we know what we doing. Dynasty is bad. We about to win this shit. Fuck KD. You know what I mean? Like all that. Curry gonna get his MVP. Curry gonna move up to the top 10 according to ESPN. You know all that, and then Boston's gonna come back against the wall, which they've been doing to themselves all damn playoffs, right? And then boom, boom, boom. The thing is that what's scary is that we seen Dallas literally give freaking the Warriors a haymaker, bro. A haymaker. Like the Warriors were down big that game.
They just ate it.
No, they looked defeated. And then they came out and then it took, but then there goes that name again. It took Poole going crazy. And then that's when coaching comes in and all that shit comes in. It's like you got to know how to stop the runs, and they couldn't stop a run. You feel the momentum shift. That's when the role players for Dallas kind of put the ball on the hoop. Because obviously Luka, they're focused on Luka, right? So you got to pass the ball. You can't put the ball in the hoop because you feel that momentum shift. And the next thing you know, they caught away back up, and then they're up by 12, 15. And you're like, what the hell? That's the thing. At least I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see Boston making those mistakes.
But that's the thing they have. You got to remember, y'all did that against Miami. Most of the games,
They're
y'all was
gonna
up
have to
20
play
plus.
near
That's the only reason I
perfect
said
in
that.
order to beat the Warriors.
Like
Yeah.
y'all had it, like you being honest, and y'all had some games. Y'all was smoking them. Even last night, y'all was up double digits. I ain't gonna
There was only one game they was really smoking them.
Yeah, but last night y'all was up double digits. 20
in the
lead
first
with
quarter, bro. In the first, okay. In Miami, you spoke them worse in that game 3.
No.
They were up 33.
They put the screenshot.
And Boston came back.
They
Come
put the
on,
screenshot
man.
one again. Y'all blew 20-point leads in 3 games. Okay, let's be honest. You
They
blew
have.
20-point leads in 3
I'm not
games.
saying they haven't. They have.
That's a lot of points against
That
a team
is.
that can't score.
That is.
That's a lot against a team in the Heat that you know can't score. They out there putting up junior high school points sometimes in the first half of games.
They can't score if they're not hitting their threes. But again, those games they were hitting their threes. But that's the NBA too. If you're hitting threes, then that's why I'm not disagreeing with that. That's why I'm like, and the Warriors live and die by the 3.
Well,
So
I'm just gonna bank on the
that's
side.
bad.
We know they gonna make them more times than not. I mean, the survey says.
Oh, for sure. I agree. I'm with you on that. We know they got the top 2 fucking shooters the NBA ever seen, bro. They don't get enough credit because he was out for 2 years about how much of a good shooter he is. All these records Curry broke. Clay could have been breaking them shits right behind him too if he don't get hurt.
Yeah.
I just think I don't know, like regarding like my MVP.
Because I know
I chose the Warriors, so I'm going with the obvious choice, which is Curry. A dark horse, I think, would have been Jordan Poole.
Okay. And who's your Celtic MVP?
Celtic MVP. I'll go with Jaylen Brown.
Okay. And real quick,
if the Celtics win, I pick Jaylen Brown. Yeah.
Who would be?
It would be. I think it would be.
Because I know he's a Celtic fan. He said the Warriors MVP choice. He said Curry. So I'm like, ain't no way that's making it seem like he's saying the Warriors gonna win the series. So who would the Celtics be?
I agree with him. If it's gonna be Curry, they're gonna give Curry that if they win, just because he's owed that, right? He's definitely owed that. So Curry would get that if they win, and then if Boston wins, Tatum or Brown, it all depends. But I don't know. I just feel like if Brown plays within himself, it could easily be Brown. Like I like the Brown that does the I'm gonna do a dribble pull up mid range, similar to a DeMar DeRozan type game. I love Brown in the mid range area. And then if you get spot up threes, take them, whatever. But when he's trying to do pull up threes, that's what I'm like, damn. You know what I mean?
All right, coach. Wait a minute, coach.
But
I just said the answer. And out here in coach mode.
My fault. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna say Tatum because I'll probably see Tatum scoring more averaging more throughout the whole series. You know, it goes by who averages the most. Blase blah. So yeah,
I'm fucking with you, bro.
Tatum.
I'm just saying that because I don't want Soto to feel like I cut him off and then.
No.
Oh nah.
So I'm gonna go back to your reason. I'm gonna let you get everybody gonna get their reasoning. So, but I know yours. I know you're the Celtic fan, so I know I gotta do like I do Henry when he about to go on his Nick. I know you need your mic segment real quick for your explanation.
Nah, I'm good.
You was giving me. You said the mid range, so I would go back to that because you was giving some bars that if some kids is watching that they need to understand play their strengths. Not everybody a 3-point shooter in these streets.
Yeah.
Right. So Soto, you said. You took your 2 MVPs, so you said the choices, but I know you was about to go into your other points that you were about to make about the series.
So, what was the question?
I'm saying you're supposed to make your other
No,
point.
he said you made your points, but you made your
about
choices,
to.
but you were gonna
Yeah.
give your points on why you made those choices. So what
Yeah.
were they?
Oh no! I was gonna actually like state why I chose like the
Yeah, that's what he
Warriors.
was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just like the way the questionable lineups and the questionable decisions that the Celtics do late in games is why the Warriors will take advantage if it ends up being a close game. You know and that's where experience comes in, and I'll choose experience every time, which is why I'm making the Warriors.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like I know you chose the Celtics to win in 6. I just I don't see how. I really don't see how.
See, that's why I had
So
to let him go
so you
first,
think they
bro.
got no chance? That's
That's why I had
crazy.
to, I had
Because
to let
because
him go
because
first for that
before
reason.
because before last night when they made it to the finals, Soto was calling my phone. He was a Celtics fan. He had the Celtics in every series they played. But now that they're going against the Warriors, nah, they got no chance. To say the Warriors are gonna win, I respect that. Keem
You
saying the
know,
Warriors are gonna win, I respect that.
you,
But to say basically, I just don't see Boston even
all right.
winning, it, bro.
Well, you know what?
Crazy,
Let me break this down.
That's why I let him go first. I knew he was gonna say
I
that.
told you the Celtics were going to beat the Nets. I told you the Celtics were going to beat the Bucks. I told you the Celtics were going to beat the Heat, right?
Yeah,
And I told you that the Celtics would beat the Heat in 7 games.
He did say
I
that.
And
don't
I was
remember you saying
He,
confident.
that.
he said that. He
I don't
said
remember
that.
you
No,
He's the
saying
I
only
that.
said
one
it
that said
as
it.
a
Yeah.
matter of fact.
He did say
I
it on
said
the.
it on last
I know
week's
he said that. I'm
episode
just being
as I
hard
got
headed.
cut
I'm
off.
being hard headed.
Wait.
Yeah, as you got cut off. Yeah. We know
Yeah.
what you were saying.
But I told you last night, just to close up this episode, I said Warriors in 6, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ended in 5. And you were like, "Why? That's crazy." So
The 5 part was crazy to me.
it was
Not the
disrespectful.
Warriors winning. Yeah, and again, the way you just finished off your sentence with your last point, you make it seem like it should be Warriors in 4 now because you're like, I don't really see Boston having a chance. Like,
No, I give him a chance at one game.
I go hold and like I'm gonna let you go because I know you feeling a way about us taking some. I said I said Warriors in 6.
I can respect that.
Okay, I'm giving you. They're gonna split one at
That's my
home.
mindset.
They're gonna split at home, and then they're gonna split again in Boston. That's how I see because I don't see the Warriors losing 2 games in Boston. Just like I don't see the Celtics losing 2 games in Boston.
And
So
yeah,
so I just see it being okay at the end of this.
it's
The
gonna go
first 4 games will
typical
be
back forth
2-2,
bull crap.
back and
Yep.
forth for 2-2, and then that's enough. 4 games is enough of a sample size for the Warriors and Steve Kerr to figure out what exactly the Celtics are doing to them on both ends. And then that's when that experience that Soto was
Comes
talking
in.
about is going to kick in. And then they're going to go, okay, y'all not doing that shit no more. And that's when they're going to have to really be able to put their will on the Celtics. And that's why I said it's going to be key for Smart because he's the other person on that side. Draymond's going to be like, okay, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing to us on both ends. And that's how he runs the
Yeah, like
Warriors.
that player coach type thing, on
So
court coach. Yeah.
Smart is going to have to be that guy for y'all to balance him off and go, okay, yo, this is what they doing to y'all. This is what they doing to us. This is what we need to do to make those in-game adjustments that Ime Udoka's not on the court that he could go tap in on somebody real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just real quick, just what Keem said, like regarding if the Celtics take game 1, if the Celtics take game 1, then there's a realm of possibilities, and again the series becomes interesting. But you have the first 2 games in Golden State where they're I don't think they've lost a game at home yet in the playoffs. I could be wrong.
Yeah, the
But
format is 2-2-1-1.
yeah, 2-2, 1-1-1. And then they go 2 in Boston, which Boston hasn't played well at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see on Thursday.
Yeah, I know Ann is stressing me like they disrespecting my C's. And
I'm not gonna talk about it. It is what it is. I have no problem with people saying they gonna lose. It's okay, but Soto was just disrespectful with that whole statement. We should clip that and keep that just in
Warriors
case.
in 5.
No, not even that. Well, that, but then he said that yesterday on the phone, but then he backed it up today and was like, I really don't think Boston got a chance. So you might as well say Warriors and 4. Go all out. Jump off the bridge with it. Own it.
You know
Stay
why?
on your 10 toes.
Because after I said that statement, Ant was like, "You better say that on the podcast. You better say that tomorrow. You better say it." And I was like, "I will say it, and I'll double down on it."
So that's what I said. That's why I'm like,
but
look.
see, I'm not the type to like rub it, in Ant's face if the Celtics lose. I'll be like, I'll just throw out key things like, oh, they lost because of this, that. But again, I have the Warriors winning, and that's it. He has the Celtics winning. We'll see what happens.
My last thing before I get to, unless somebody else has anything else to say as well, and then I get to the closing thought segment, I will say that the reason why I'm saying the Warriors are going to win this series, I don't care how many games they win it in, they're going to win this series, and is because Curry wants that Finals MVP. He wants it bad. That is the one knock that people have on him. They say Andre Iguodala won one in the series. If Draymond Green doesn't kick LeBron in the nuts and get suspended, he might have won the Finals MVP that year.
Stupid decision.
The year against the Raptors, had they pulled that series out, it probably would have been Klay Thompson won that MVP. And then obviously, KD has his too. Mm-hmm. But for the fan base, and I think even some of those guys on that team themselves, they got a mindset since everybody's back, and they've said it, of wanting to remind people who they are. Like, people don't forget who we are. And I think part of that who we are is I think they feel like some people treat them like, yeah, that niggas wouldn't have won nothing if it wasn't for KD. So I think in the back of their Curry's mind, Thompson mind, those guys that were the stars before he got there, they're like, this is our moment to let them know, like, we didn't need him. You know what I mean? It was nice having him here, but we didn't need him. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, we was good without him, but he wanted to come play with us. You know what I mean?
And then Curry's thought process is, I'm the captain now.
Look at me. You know what I mean? That's what their mindset was. It's almost like, we a good team, and one of the best players in the league want to come play with us. It was like, okay, fine, come play with us, KD. Why would they say no to that? So I feel like this is their shine to be like, okay, yeah, we could win with him, we could win without him, and because we're that good. And I think they also know that for the time, like you said, maybe that Grizzlies series was a bit of a, we starting to get up there in age. Some of these wake-up calls are starting to look at us like, y'all the old guys now. So maybe they're viewing it like, okay, we need to go win as many championships as we can while we still play at this high level, for these young guys start thinking they're better than us now because we're up there in age.
Agreed.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason why I said that. I mean, I think they have more at stake to win than the Boston Celtics do. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Boston loses, we're going to say they wasn't ready just yet. They're still young. They just got – same thing we said for KD and Russ. When guys get their young duo, their first time, we go, they wasn't ready just yet. They haven't learned how to win just yet. This was a learning experience for the young fellas, but they're going to be back next year. And that's what we're going to say if they lose. If the Warriors lose, it's going to be, oh, I don't know, maybe Father Time is catching up. Maybe Curry needs help. We're going to say narratives like that. So I think the Celtics, if they happen to lose, they got the built-in excuse already. We wasn't ready. I mean, that's all.
All I know is if the Celtics win the championship, I just can't wait to see it go on a rampage on Twitter, on all his haters. I mean, we're not haters, but all his other haters.
You know me, I don't do social media like that. I ain't gonna go on a rampage. I'm not on social media, but I'll be in the headset. I'll be in the headset talking about shit. So y'all better hope that don't happen. Specifically to Soto, just because that extra comment.
Okay.
Like if that was in text, bro, like when he put the no chance part was in all caps, and I was like, damn.
Hey, look, it might be like that.
It might be like that. Hey, still gotta meet at that circle and throw the ball up and.
Listen, who knows? Who knows? We're saying that now.
But after the first two games, you can change your mind.
Come on. I didn't write no chance. That was Coach Norman Fisher. just to stay there. But
No. You didn't write. You said. But if it was the way you said it, if it was in writing, it would
oh
have
yeah,
been all caps. Because you was like,
Yeah,
"There's no chance." Like, there's
yeah.
no. He done sat back in the chair and shook his head. I'm like,
absolutely. But that's the thing. Who knows? Like God forbid, like game one, there could be an injury, and that could swing the whole
I don't
entire
want no
series.
injuries.
No, me neither. I mean,
Yeah.
who would want an injury? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's why I said, God forbid there's an injury. It could shift the tides of the series. But yeah, I said what I said.
Draymond get another tech and could shift it because he's
He
up
said
there
what
in
he
that
said.
count.
Heard you.
Yeah,
Copy.
he's up
I
there.
got my pen. I got all these things noted.
I mean, Draymond's up there with technical fouls. He gets another tech or two. He gets
Draymond is up there, and he be at the
So,
refs for nothing, bro. But
so
nigga can sneeze. Yo, ref, come on, bro. Like,
it could be a repeat of that Cavs series again. He gets suspended a game because he get that tech limit. So, like always, this is our closing thoughts segment. You can talk about anything basketball related, life related, social issues, whatever comes in your mind. You got the mic. What you want to talk about?
Oh no, I think we should just purposely leave this portion for Ant. I mean, it's his team in the finals.
nah, we already talked about that. He's just saying closing wrap up
Thoughts,
statements.
Yeah,
Closing thoughts.
anything
no.
that's on your mind.
This is the Ant closing thoughts.
Nah. I don't got no closing thoughts. I heard what it is. That is what it is. We gonna see. But side note, my heart goes out to everybody in Texas, man.
Mm-hmm.
Tough situation that went on over there in the last week. I mean, having a little one and a stepson, like I can't even imagine how those parents felt or feel, how the teachers felt, the kids felt during the situation. Things got to be changed like ASAP for real. I'm tired of, when things like that happens, instantly it seems like the media comes out with excuses for that person on why they did it, rather than like focusing on that was completely wrong. It should never happen. It's always bullied in school or mental health issues and all that. And I just feel like he said his connection was messing up. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, the media always makes things shaped one way. It shouldn't instantly go to that. Like it was just horrible what happened in the first place. But to try to defend the person that walked in there and did it, there really ain't there's nothing you can really say to defend that. Yeah. But that's all that's been on my mind, really, man. I mean, the basketball, it's been great to watch and see, my team advance and all that stuff. To take my mind off of it. But once basketball's over and basketball's not on, it's right back to that. You gotta keep those families and just anybody because it's not just it's not just the parents, with nieces and nephews to people, brothers, sisters, all that. So
we had shooting in Texas, in the state of New York. You had one in Buffalo at the
and people didn't talk about the Buffalo one enough, I feel like.
So we definitely need to. I don't care what your beliefs are on gun control, but when we're seeing the lives of people out shopping and the lives of kids being threatened while they're just at school, that's something that you really got to approach. Living in a community now, I told my dad the other day when I could see the bus that comes in the area to come pick up the kids, and I can even from a distance I could see like that interaction between the parent and the kid. Like normally they just, the bus comes, they let the kid walk on the bus and then they just, get back in their car. That was a day where the parents, most of them actually stood and watched the bus go away. They didn't go back in their car and watch the bus. They stood there and watched the bus leave the complex. So it's like you can see like firsthand that parents of kids that were that age now are thinking to themselves like, oh my God, like what if something like that happened to my kid at their school? And that's not something that a thought process should be for parents sending their kid, elementary school age kids to school, that their kid might not come home that day. So it is a crazy thing to think about it. And I know that's a more serious note, but that's why I use this, segment. I know everybody, Ant's a parent. So it hits, and I coach. So I know what that feels like. I've unfortunately not, to a shooting, but I've had a player lose their life in a car accident. So, and my dad, unfortunately, as he was a coach when I was younger, he had a player that was, killed to gun violence. So it does hit home for people that have kids and people that work with kids, the thought process of, having to worry about the well-being of kids in today's society.
I agree 100% with you guys. This change needs to happen, and it's like how much further violence there has to be for something to be done. So my thoughts and prayers are to all the families, the victims. And then also I just wanted to reach out and say due to yesterday being Memorial Day, to thank those for
Hmm.
service our country.
Yeah, shout out to everybody who's yep.
Yeah,
Good point.
you are true heroes. And thank you for protecting us, keeping us safe, and obviously it's much appreciated.
Gotcha. Nah, no, I don't want to feel like the person that is switching the topic, but I know that was Ant's closing thought. Soto, what's on your mind other than that as well?
Well, mine kind of tied into that, Memorial Day. So
Okay,
I just, wanted to thank everyone in service.
gotcha. I pretty much echo the same. You know, Usually we end on a little bit more of a positive note, but that's not life. Life doesn't work that way. There are things that go on that are, like LeBron says, more than an athlete. So there are things that happen in the world that you have to take the time to reflect and touch on, even if it's harder conversations. But those unfortunate situations have happened, and we live on and adjust and try to make a better future for our kids one day. So, like always, if you joined our podcast late, you can catch the full version of our podcast on our YouTube channel, Sounds of Hardwood. If you prefer to listen to an audio version of our podcast, you can listen to it on Anchor, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And like always, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. And we'll catch you on the next one. We out.